Hey everyone, Pastor George here with today's Bible study recap. And today in Bible study, we started a new book, the book of Hosea. And I've been excited to do a prophetic book. We've never done a prophetic book in its totality before. Not that I remember. I know we've done like sections of Isaiah and a section of Jeremiah, I believe. And maybe we've looked at other places. But I'm excited to do this. And I'm excited because I like making people mad. There are some people in the Bible study who really don't like the Old Testament that much, and so I love just doing Old Testament. I do entirely Old Testament if I could. Um, that's a little bit of an overstatement. They like it; it's just confusing, and that makes sense. And the prophetic books are probably one of the places where you can get most confused because they rely a lot on context and history in order to understand what's going on. Because if you don't know the context or the history, what they're talking about isn't going to make a whole lot of sense. So I am going to do that. That's what I'm going to start off by doing, and then I'll just tell you what is talked about in the first few verses here. And so, first of all, Hosea, his name means salvation. He's a prophet in Israel. Now, when we say Israel, we usually think of the place. Well, one, we think of the place today that kind of occupies the place where Israel used to be back in the Old Testament. So obviously, we're not talking about the one today. Also, we're not talking about a united Israel because in the history of the Old Testament, David has his son Solomon. After Solomon, the kingdom is divided into north and south. It breaks apart. And so the southern kingdom is called the kingdom of Judah. The northern kingdom is called the kingdom of Israel. That's how the Bible refers to them. And I'm not an expert in this. I'm pretty sure the historical data bears that out because we do have treaties and other sorts of things that refer to these two different kings and kingdoms and stuff like that. So he breaks apart. And Hosea seems to be from the northern kingdom. And really, that is who the majority of this prophecy is for, right? Because ostensibly, in both the northern and southern kingdoms, everyone is supposed to worship Yahweh, right? They're all Jews. They've just broken apart into two different kingdoms. Problem is that they don't, and that really is the main theme of Hosea. So the main theme of Hosea is betrayal of the covenant and God's coming justice for that. And of course, there is hope. There is this idea that there will be a redemption in this, that there will be a restoration, but that God is going to bring judgment on Israel, being the northern kingdom, specifically for this type of thing. So Hosea, if you're looking for a time and place to try and put him, he's around 700 years before Christ. He was prophesying in the second half of the 7th century BC. So remember, second half BC means the lower numbers. So like 750 to the 720s or something around there, maybe up to 700. The reason I say that is because Assyria is going to conquer Israel. It's going to take Israel in 722. So he's going to be prophesying through the destruction of the northern kingdom. Assyria, by the way, is this big power in Mesopotamia, kind of northern Iraq today. And so Israel is breaking its covenant with God. Hosea wants to remind them of this, and that's really what, if you read Hosea 1, which is what we read today, you see that. And one of the things God has the prophets do is lots of object lessons of their own lives. And you see this happen in Jeremiah, you see it happen with other places, and you see it happen with Hosea. One of the things that you'll notice is that Hosea is told to take a wife of whoredom, right? That's what he says, right? God says, go take to yourself a wife of whoredom and have children of whoredom, for the land commits great whoredom for forsaking the Lord. So this just to some people is really uncomfortable language. I remember in seminary, I don't know, I don't remember anyone voicing this, to be fair, but there are people who have voiced that all this kind of negative sex talk language, they don't like it. And to that I say, too bad, right? God uses it. I can understand why some people don't like it, but we have to be honest here. Like, this is a powerful, we use powerful words to communicate powerful things that are going on. And if it makes you uncomfortable, that's probably a good way of talking about it, because God is breaking through standards that you have in order to get a point across. And so what he's saying here is God is saying, you have, this is like a marriage covenant between Israel and God, and you have been unfaithful, right? And so this prophet Hosea is going to show you how you've been unfaithful through his own life of taking a woman who is going to be unfaithful to him. And so and the children are going to be representations of that. And so he has several children with this woman Gomer, and you see God uses the names of these children in order to communicate ideas. So we see Jezreel. Jezreel is this valley. It means the Lord plants. It actually has a positive connotation, but here the Lord plants. If you look, it says that there's going to be kind of like a defeat of Israel, right? So the Lord is kind of planting a defeat. He's planning that Israel will be brought low. Then after he has that daughter, the son Jezreel, he has a daughter, and she is called No Mercy, right? And the reason that she's called No Mercy, or in the Hebrew, Lo Ruhumah, is because God will not have mercy on the sins that the people of Israel have committed by going after other gods. Then he has one more daughter, and her name, he has a son, and then his name is Not My People, Lo Umi, in Hebrew, Lo Umi. And this is God's kind of a refutation of the things that he has said in the past. And he says, it's, literally said, I am not your God, right? He says, for you are not my people, and I am not your God. And that right there in Hebrew is, I am to you. And for anyone who knows Exodus or knows John, right, the Gospel of John, I am is a really powerful statement. And so God is not just saying, I am not your God. He's saying something about their beliefs that make this the case, right? I am to you. And I think it's a pretty powerful thing that God says there. And then he tells them that you see kind of this wiping away of the covenant, right, through this justice that God is going to bring. Of course, the covenant is not gone. That's not what God is necessarily doing, but he's showing that because you've been unfaithful, you are going to be punished for that. And so he kind of starts by kind of taking back the Abrahamic covenant, right? It was numerous as sands to the sea. What does he say? Yet the number of children... here. So what he says is he starts out by sounding like he's not going to break the covenant, but then he uses this Abrahamic formula to show that it's still in place, but it's going to change, right? So he says, yet the number of children, even though you're breaking this, even though I'm going to bring justice upon you, the children of Israel shall be like the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured in number. And in the place where it was said to them, you are not my people, it shall be said to them, children of the living God. And the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together, and they shall appoint for themselves one head, and they shall go up from the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. And so here, right, we as Christians see in this an answer. Because this idea, children of the living God, that's actually a unique Hosean way of speaking. That's not really used in other places. But we do see it used in the New Testament. Paul uses this to apply to the church. So the early church, or the Christians, saw this in this, right, this one head, as a fulfillment, this bringing together, this restoration of the people as fulfilled in Jesus Christ. Right. Now, I think Jews would say that this was fulfilled in the creation of a new kingdom. The problem is that it doesn't look like a lot of these promises come true, right? This idea of, because they'll come back from exile, the northern kingdom will kind of come together, people will flee, they'll go down south, they'll be sent into exile, they'll come back. But we don't really see this flowering of promises come out of that time. And so I think that this is definitely something that's being applied to Jesus, right? That God is looking forward. And that's also how the children will be as numerous as the sands of the sea, because this is not going to be the idea of what Israel and Judah are, right? These covenant people is going to be expanded way beyond. So that's basically, I mean, this is a longer one. That's basically what was talked about this morning. I think that one of the things to note is that the New Testament writers like Hosea, Paul quotes him, Matthew quotes him quite a bit. We see this in the birth narrative, right? Out of Egypt I called my son. That's from Hosea 6, I think. But we're gonna work through it. Now you like, I think the idea here is what I presented is the core idea of Hosea. But one of the things is to see how God talks about that, and to see how in our own lives, right, we don't just look back on these kingdoms and go, oh man, you guys have been so unfaithful, but to see our own unfaithfulness and see how we can change that, and how our unfaithfulness grieves the Lord, which I think is really important. So I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I will see you tomorrow for a new thing. Peace out.